Todd Nelson for Hays Post. We're visiting with Kris Munsch here on the campus of Fort Hays State University. Thanks for the time, first of all, Kris.
Absolutely, anytime.
Hey, tell me what you're doing here at the college. You came here last fall and started in with a new position. Tell me about the position.
I did, yeah. I am teaching CAD drafting, construction classes. Oh my gosh, just what I love. What I love doing is what I'm teaching.
Fantastic. So, feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, I'm home.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born at?
I was born in the nexus of the universe, Ness City, Kansas.
Just down the road.
Everybody passes through Ness City once in their lifetime.
What was it like growing up in a small town like Ness City?
Just you could hop on a bicycle ride across town. You didn't have to worry about it. You could leave in the morning, and mom and dad didn't worry about you till you walked back in for dinner, and you're covered in who knows what. We spent a lot of time at the Walnut Creek down the way, falling. It's just a great childhood.
You mentioned your parents. Tell me a little bit about them. Were they disciplinarians?
No, yeah. I mean, my dad is a quiet disciplinarian.
One of those.
Yeah. If mom, we could tend to kind of maybe work through it with mom. We'd get in trouble a lot, but when Dad if we heard when you wait till your dad gets home, and she would explain to him what happened, and typically, we got busy doing something.
Where'd you go? You went to your high school was there then?
Ness City High School. Yeah.
Coming out of high school, where'd you head?
Came to Fort Hays for 1 year, and I was here 1 year, and just decided that college. Actually, I failed English comp 2 semesters in a row, so I went back to the oil field. We didn't have to write in the oil field.
As you were growing up, did you have influences? You have people that you remember back as a young man that you thought about and looked up to?
My woods teacher at high school, Mr. Vavrika, by far. I can't tell you how many times I said, I'm going to be a teacher someday. I'm going to be a woods teacher someday. So, I just said it over and over. I mean, that's what I just dreamed of being. So ending up here is totally, it didn't happen by accident.
So teaching was an aspiration a long time ago in reality.
Oh yeah, I was born to be a teacher. I think I wasn't ready to do it until when I finally started. When I got till that, I guess that part of my life opened up, and the window opened, and I took advantage of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your family and a young man in particular.
Yeah.
If you looked up strife in the dictionary, you might see your picture. And I know you're not the only one that has dealt with some strife.
Yeah.
But you have had some challenges, and it all started with the passing of your son several years ago.
Yeah. And it's funny because if I look at it, I can look back and say even my divorce before that from Blake's mom really kind of started it for me, kind of really left me really wondering what was happening. And then when Blake was killed in December of 2005, oh man, the guilt, the regret for divorcing. Everything just piled on top because I think you could qualify me as a workaholic a little bit, maybe. I think, Kris.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. So, and so that meant that I spent a lot of time away from him. So after his death, it really made me really kind of step back and really kind of start asking myself, is that really the life that... Is this the life I want? And so, Blake's death shook me to the core.
Dealing with that death really led to the Birdhouse Project, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, his death led me to selling everything and leaving Hays. It led me to spending about a year in Manhattan, Kansas, just trying to figure out what in the world am I going to do. It led me to become a high school woodworking teacher in Bonner Springs, Kansas, which those students I'm telling you, if you've never experienced it, go stand in a high school classroom for a year, and those kids are honest, and I needed that honesty because the kids weren't afraid to ask me the questions that a lot of people adults were afraid to ask. What's it feel like to have a son dead? Do you ever think about him in his casket? Those are questions these kids were asking me, so it really made me go, do I think about those things? Which led me to starting the Birdhouse Project, and wow, just continued on from there.
Some people may not realize that the Birdhouse Project really kind of took on a life of its own, didn't it?
It wouldn't go away even if if I never picked it up again and did anything, it's morphed into something that's being used. It's funny. I got an email from a lady in Georgia, a counselor in Georgia, emailed me yesterday. Got my email address from someone, and she wants to start using the process in her counseling from Georgia. And I'm just like, how would you even hear? And so I emailed her, how did you hear about this? And she said, well, kind of that role. I heard somebody went to a workshop, or they did this, and so it is. It's its own thing. It's not me. It is its own life.
And that birdhouse project to this day remains a way for people to deal with that healing process, right?
Yeah.
After losing a loved one.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not just that. It's the death of a job. It's the death of a marriage. It's loss in general. Self-discovery. Who am I? What am I? A lot of questions people, I can't tell you how many times I'll walk up to somebody. If you're sitting and talking to somebody and say, hey, who are you in this moment? They're like, they struggle to answer that question.
Right.
And so that's really what it is. It's kind of like a reset button. It just gives you a chance to stop and gather some of those thoughts.
You're a man of many hobbies. Most of which have to do with using your hands and building.
Building.
From birdhouses to houses. You've got another project. You how many homes have you refurbed over the years?
Well, the one on 17th will be 47th.
Hard to even imagine that there's been enough time to refurb 47 homes.
It's I get lost in that work. It is not work. It just doesn't work. I can strip wallpaper and I can do it for hours and I just get lost in it and think and just process. It's just I love doing it.
It for you is therapeutic, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It is my therapy. Some people will say that's work. I'm like, no, it's not work.
You probably don't take time to watch a lot of the home improvement shows on television necessarily with your schedule.
You know what's funny is I will actually, on Saturday nights, I watch renovation realities where they just take random couples who start renovating the house. I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. The next thing you know is sparks are flying. I'm like, he told you not to do that.
There are reasons sometimes professionals are to be called, aren't there?
Well, that show wouldn't be any good if it was professional.
That's true. That's true. What's your favorite food? You have one?
Oh, hamburgers.
Yeah, same here.
It's simple.
Do you enjoy cooking? This isn't a trick question.
I do, and I love to cook on a day when it's snow, when I can't do anything else. I love to throw together a pot of chili or that kind of cooking. Cook some of the things my dad, when I grew up,
Right.
Some of the old German foods. I try to cook those, but yeah.
You have a favorite recipe necessarily?
Probably my favorite thing is pigs in a blanket, the sausage rolls, rabbit rolled in cabbage with sauerkraut, and then after that's all gone, then you make dumplings out of the juice with sauerkraut.
I've noticed the heritage around here. They don't waste a lot when it comes to cooking.
I'm a scavenger.
There you go.
I am not afraid to pick up the chicken bone and get the rest of the meat off the end.
I was going to ask you when you're not working what you like doing, but it really is kind of one and the same in your case, isn't it?
It is. I don't work. I don't work. I teach at the university. That is not work to me. That's what I love doing. When I get done work teaching, I go play with houses, mess with houses, I guess. I work on them. It's just, I really don't think I work. I don't know how to explain that other than I just don't think I work.
Congratulations. That's what I'll say.
Thank you.
And this opportunity here at Fort Hays State to get in front of these young people has really been another part of your process to some degree, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think if anything, guilt and regret from death of losing anyone is hard, but then guilt and regret of losing a child can even be magnified. It's magnified so many more. So we're getting to teach kids from the heart, and I think it's what helps me make up for maybe the things I didn't get to do with my son, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, and when I mean teaching from the heart, I tell my students right up front, it's not me and you, it's us doing this, because there's a lot of things I do that I may teach that actually it's funny because I'll do a lesson. I do all my lessons before I do them in front of them, and they'll work perfectly. And then I go out and do them, and then they don't work. It's like, why isn't this working? And kids are born with a mouse in their hand, and so they have that practice. And so a lot of times I encourage them, come up and show us how to do it. And so it just creates more of a team. I just think it's a more open environment. Kids aren't afraid to ask.
You're loving it right now, aren't you?
Oh man, I am home. I am home.
What word do you like the most?
What word do I like the most? Content. I think has become my favorite word.
What word do you least like?
Lazy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you see it so well, if I can see, I'm sitting there and I say to myself, gosh, if you just would listen, you could follow this. I see what works for me, and so if you could try to emulate some of those things, it'll help you. But you can't do that. People got to experience it for themselves. I can model it through my work ethic and through my contentment in what I do, and hope people pick up on that. But I can also say that, and I think I understand it so well because when I was dealing with the loss of Blake and struggling with all that, people kept saying, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do. And I'm glad I followed my own path. So I understand that when I try to force something, I don't try to force things on people, if that makes sense.
Sure. Final question.
Yeah.
What words of wisdom would you share with a young person who are trying to find their way in the world?
Oh, it's. I tell my students this all the time. Don't do anything for money. You do it because you love it, because the money will come. Because if you can do something well, and you become, you kind of become an outlier of it. There's a book about outliers, and if you invest 10,000 hours of practice into something, you kind of become an expert at it. And it's hard to gather that many hours of practice unless you love doing it. And so I would never make a good violin player because I would struggle to get those hours of practice. But when I cringe when I hear people say, I'm going to do this because I can make a ton of money. I was like, oh, but is it what you love doing? And I think that's the biggest thing. Do what you love, the money will come. And if the money doesn't come, the money probably wasn't important anyway because you're doing what you love. It doesn't take as much. So, yeah.
Well put. Very
Simplicity.
good. Hey, thank you for the time. Welcome back to Hayes, by the way. It's great to have you around.
It's good to be home.
Thanks, Kris. I appreciate it.
Thank you.